Everybody's got that favorite exotic they love to use, but what kind of personality does it take for each one? Starting with exotics released at Destiny's original launch, then progressing all the way to now, let's find out. Sweet business. You just really hate reloading, and who wouldn't say yes to exploding bullets in a machine gun?
Get him!
Sturm. You were using 120s before they were cool, and hello, how can you turn down that handling? Nothing else really feels like a hand cannon to you, or maybe you just like that unique sound it has. Vigilance Wing. You used Vigi-Wing back in year 1 and you never really stopped, especially when that ornament came out. You feel like if more people gave it a chance, they'd understand what that 5th billet does, but you also secretly enjoy keeping that 2-burst capability under wraps. Rat King. You're the guy who spams the Discord with memes, aren't you? Always trying to convince teammates to use it with you and get that boss DPS clip you've always wanted. Or you're just an invisible hunter ruining Crucible with Disruption Break. Mida Multi-Tool. You're a mobility demon. You laugh whenever someone says, I don't use Mida enough because it's been in your kinetic slot the entire time. For my real Mida users, you ditched that hat crosshair a long time ago. Cold Heart. You think Arc 3.0 is one of the best things ever added. Having the power to dominate your opponents like Palpatine from Star Wars is a feeling you can't get enough of, and Cold Heart does just that. Merciless. You spend a lot of time doing boss fights, and this became your favorite with how hilarious it is that a fusion rifle can outdamage a whole team. If you played D1, you know all about the Pocket Infinity and how this brings you back. Fighting Lion. Shout out to the subreddit on this thing, and Fighting Lion is really fun. I hate playing against you and rage quit every time I die to it, but I get it. If you can't beat them, slap on Rain of Fire and join them. Sunshot. If you played D2 at launch, you know this thing aged like a fine wine. 150 RPM for life, am I right, boys? Watch the world burn and don't ever put this thing away. Skyburner's Oath. That Proving Grounds week being able to shoot through the impenetrable shield? That's thanks to you. Nowadays, I bet you use stuff like weighted knife for instant ignitions, or maybe you're a Phoenix diver, but either way, the world is on fire and it's all thanks to you. Borealis. Every sniper you try somehow doesn't match the feeling of this thing. You don't actually know why though, and that's okay. Risk Runner. You have some of the strongest tunnel vision I've ever witnessed. Backhanded compliment? I don't know. But one thing I do know is boy do I love having a Risk Runner main on my team when we play Stormlocks. Get back to hitting yourself with your nade while we move on to Hardlight. Mentally, you've never left Season 11. In life, you go by the motto of throwing it at the wall and seeing what sticks. You may have caused at least one seizure over the years and die on the hill asking for an auto rifle meta to come back. Well, it's here. The Prospector. Your favorite pastime is absolutely launching that rally flag into space. People only laugh in like every 3rd group you do it, but you're not going to stop. They just don't know what good comedy is. Wardcliff Coil. Everything you do is overkill. You party way too hard, always buy way more than what you need at the grocery store, and if it were legal, you'd probably cook your food with a flamethrower. Tractor Cannon. You're the anchor of every team you're in, aren't you? You're a skilled evolution of the Divinity guy. That means instead of hiding your damage numbers, you get to boast about how much you did while also being the tractor guy. Legend of Acreus. This makes you feel like Doom guy. Anything that lets you get within spitting range turns to electric dust. You've probably played D2 since the beginning, and for that, I salute you for being in this video. Darcy. You keep trying to tell everyone it's more than just a measuring stick. They don't listen, of course, and so your voice just continues to echo forever. Crimson. You know this thing's filthy on controller and check every tier list online to make sure it's getting the respect it deserves. Good enough for you? You know about the lower FOV trick on this thing, and to you, my friend, I'm sorry that Monte Carlo got the bayonet. Jade Rabbit. You're not really a thrill seeker, are you? Like skydiving is not on your bucket list, but you're dependable. You're hardworking and you end your day kicking your feet up with the brewski. It's the simple pleasures in life that make you happy. Prometheus Lens. Laser tag weekend was the best of your life and you wear that emblem proudly. We both know that TTK is broken right now and you're hoping someone like me doesn't mention it. Oops. Telesto. You were always the class clown in high school, weren't you? And I bet you have Telesto report bookmarked. You recognize not only has it gone sentient being the community's meme machine, but that it actually works great for volatile builds. The Colony. Pros of being a Colony fan? Every few months you get to kill immune enemies thanks to a bug that Bungie keeps forgetting. The consequences of Colony is that Bungie forgets about the Colony. Huckleberry. You can't remember the last time you had to reload. Hell, you don't even know what the animation looks like. You just know that when you look at something and pull the trigger, it's not there anymore. Suros Regime. You've still got your Destiny 1 CD on the shelf. That spin up never gets old, and using the slow fire mode to absolutely map people just hits different. You worked hard for that catalyst and deserve every benefit it brings. Polaris Lance. You're likely annoyed that the solar effects have been power crept in PvE and hang on to hope for a chance at a buff in the future, but at least you know it's still widely underrated in the Crucible. Worldline Zero. Eager Edge might technically be better, but nothing beats Worldline in your eyes. You pray at least once a month that they'll bring Leviathan back. Maybe one day, my friend, who knows. Sleeper Simulant. You watched a Mythbusters video from Shadow Destiny, even though you already knew it could collapse through that whole group of Guardians.
That would be crazy. Oh my God.
Whisper of the Worm. You're a bit old-fashioned. You think the game was much better when it was balanced around precision weapons. You're happy that Whisper slaps Oryx around, but you know it deserves a full return to its glory, and if it ever happens, you'll be ready for it. Now that was 30 exotics packed into D2's first set of DLCs and a whole ton of different personalities. But what's one thing we all have in common? Food. You know that deep gaming session we all end up in when there's no time to cook a healthy meal, but you're just starving? Well, there's a food service called Factor solving exactly that. Instead of a freezer packed full of junk food, what if you had healthy meals designed by dietitians prepped to your customization? I can get you 50% off your first box if you try it out, and you'll be directly supporting me, so I can't say thanks enough. Use my link or head to go.factor75.com and you'll see a Get Started button. Press that and the first prompt you'll see is choosing what you like. Options like keto specific, protein heavy, vegan or vegetarian, you name it. For me, that would be calorie smart with protein plus. You can choose how many meals you want for the week with better deals the more you pick, but let's just say 10. Enter your email to set up your website account, then on the details page you'll see a promo code option. Expand that and type in POGCASTLE SEP50 to knock 50% off of your order. On top of that, it'll open up these extra deals if you want to choose to do more than one box, and then you're ready to pick your meals. There's a ton of variety to choose from, so once you're done selecting each meal, you can check out or even add extra items like smoothies or snacks if you'd like. Give it a shot and let me know what you think, remembering to use my code for 50% off that first box, or just scan the QR code on your computer with your phone to go from there. Onwards to the next 25 exotics included in the 4 seasons within the Forsaken era. Cerberus 1. You're a stasis titan. Don't try and hide it. You do some unspeakable things in Trial of Osiris, and you show all your friends how easily you can pop a bubble. Wish Ender. Odds are you're a Nightfall enjoyer with a backpack for your teammates. You keep telling the Arbalest fans that Wish Ender does the job better, but they just never listen. Malfeasance. Way more fans of this one these days. You're probably a hunter main who hasn't washed their lucky pants in weeks. The things you can pull off in this game are borderline evil when it works. Ace of Spades. You're scarily good in Crucible. You know Ace is overpowered and you're not sure how Bungie is okay with it, but a little worried that Cade might ask for it back in the final shape. Chaperone. Good old Chappy. There's nothing quite like it. You probably bought the Panama ornament for that longer barrel back in the day. You also have a folder full of 1v3 clips that you watch before bed, you sick bat. Trinity Ghoul. If anyone's got close to 1 million kills in Thrallway, it's you. You're also part of a secret community that knows more about bows than Chuck Norris knows a roundhouse kick. Wave Splitter. You're an absolute build crafter who can't stop playing Void. I bet you spend more time on third-party apps and spreadsheets figuring things out than actually playing the game. Please go touch some grass.
Okay, you're... Dude.
Lord of Wolves. You're a menace to society who could only be stopped by Bungie completely nerfing you to the ground. 1000 Voices. Mentally, you've never left Season 15. Particle deconstruction was a way of life for you. You're pretty stoked that 1K has Unstoppable now, though, and your little laser pointer can finally get some more time in the sun.
Let me get a running start before I get this 1K.
Reasonable.
Yeah, let's go. That's awesome.
Two-tailed Fox. If you can stick to one thing and do it well, you're happy. Other people want to min-max by swapping guns mid-damage phase, and that's just not what you're about. All you want to do is shoot the funny anime rocket, kill the boss, and move on. Black Talon. Spending this much time in Garden is a health risk. Call your mom, she misses you. The Queenbreaker. You don't exist. No one's favorite weapon is Queenbreaker anymore. Go back to D1. Thunderlord. You have 17 kids to feed and no time to mess around. Thunderlord is efficient. Either your team puts it on or they find a new team. Izanagi's Burden. You consider yourself a DPS warlord with 7 different loadouts, but they all include this same weapon. Honed Edge ×4 is burned into your plasma TV. The last word. You play controller. Le Monarch. I don't think I can say what being a Le Monarch main truly means. I'd be saying things about you that demonetize this video. Jotun. You're a proud father of 4 with only 3 hours to play a week. Those 3 hours somehow happen during maintenance though, so it's like you never catch a break. But on the bright side, I got this feeling you're really in shape because that forces you to go to the gym each time. Anarchy. First it was Breach and Clear gutting you, then Galley, and then the Starfire nerfs. Your sanity is hanging by a thread. You know Anarchy is still amazing, there's just nowhere to use it anymore. Arbalist. You don't know what anti-barrier mods even do, and at this point, you don't need to. Pull the trigger and pop the shield. Why overcomplicate things? Thorn. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god! Outbreak perfected. You'll never get over the fact that Crota's End came before Wrath. You're mad that 0 Hour isn't in the rotator. You don't care about those primary DPS charts every season because you're bringing Outbreak anyways. Lumina. You're just a really nice person. Like when you see that old grandma trying to cross the street, you probably get out and help them. Sitting back watching your friends brag about their DPS when deep down it was thanks to you brings a smile to your face. Bad Juju. Were you one of the people to spend like 20,000 Bright Dust to get this thing while everyone else spent a lifetime in Tribute Hall? You dominate in momentum control where this thing absolutely shreds, and you're pretty thankful no one else thinks the super boost is worth it. Teraba. You're patient, calculating, and just a little bit evil. You're hyper aware of what overextending means, and every time a Chaperone user shows you their folder of clips, you just laugh. The Truth. You remember when having 3 rockets in the mag was a big deal. Now there's legendaries with 4, so surely that means a buff is in order for this thing, right? Right? It's time to head over to Shadowkeep, but I first want to mention an underrated YouTuber named Ember Centurion. He actually made this video over a year ago, and I laughed so hard watching it, I kept wanting to share my own take. So after a while, I reached out directly to him, letting him know, and he was super great about it. I wanted to highlight for all of you that some of the content he makes is really unique, and I definitely recommend checking him out. Back to the timeline though, our first exotic in Shadowkeep brings us the Monte Carlo. You're probably one hell of a build scientist to have worked this into your kit, and I'm happy for you, bud. You finally get to use that bayonet and make fun of all of the Crimson users. Ariana's Vow. You're either a hammer titan who just hip fires this thing in PvE or some kind of blinking monster in the Crucible. Those might be super different people, but you both agree on one thing. This is the only gun that puts the cannon in hand cannon. Divinity. Let's be honest, you either don't have a backbone to fight back when your teammates say you should run it, or you're secretly happy because you know you're not a top dog with DPS anyway. Leviathan's Breath. There's a bunch of famous archers in the universe, whether that's Legolas, Hawkeye, or even Katniss, but none of them can turn an ogre into purple liquid with a single shot. That's all you. Xenophage. Everything you look at with Xeno turns into a red mist. You were the one to make Gambit a monstrosity for so long, but I get it. A machine gun with this kind of power is worth making your favorite. Deathbringer. You love to troll people, and that delay in the kill feed is worth it every time. Bastion. If this is your favorite gun, then congrats. According to the game, you're actually the cannon guardian from the corridors of time. Symmetry. This is a weapon that people get caught by surprise every time you post clips in the Discord. From 2-tapping stronger than 120s to taking out supers with ease, I'm personally shocked every time I watch. Devil's Ruin. The time to kill is freakishly good and just enough for you to always have it in slot. Bait me one more time and we're gonna have a problem. Tommy's Matchbook. You probably loved zombies in Call of Duty. You know this thing's not the best and the ignitions are kind of weak, but it's a Tommy gun for God's sake. Sometimes the cool factor is more important. Fourth Horseman. You've got some loose screws in there to tame a weapon like this, but I respect it. Spending more than a split second per enemy is a complete waste of your time, and time is money.
Wait, what?
Heir Apparent. I mean, come on, this thing is peak comedy. A giant invincible orb firing a machine gun. How is this not in everyone's top 5? Witherhoard. Odds are you live in PvE, but may have been the first one to figure out how to use it against a bubble titan. You usually manage to stop your buddies from running it so you can have the highest damage on stream. It's not selfish, you're just better at it. Traveler's Chosen. Your name is True Vanguard. Ruinous Effigy. Oh brother, I asked for some effigy experts to get me a clip or 2 for this video and they sent me 50. If you're anything like them, I have no words.
YOLO!
Hawkmoon. You were pumped when this came back, especially if you were on Xbox and D1, because this time you didn't have to wait. You also understand the true power of how they reworked it, removing the lucky bullet mechanic. No time to explain. You'll ride the meta 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 52 weeks a year. And you know what? That's totally okay. But please, would you stop floating with it on Warlock and give the rest of us a chance? Duality. You, my friend, carry sophistication around the many nuances in Destiny. While everyone else screamed how crappy this was on day one, you weren't sure if you should share the secret or not that they were all wrong. Cloud Strike. These folks are playing a different game, and when there's two of you in the same lobby, it feels like a 1v1 anyway. Both of you taking your turn, piling up that kill feed with a single shot. Salvation's Grip. If I had to guess, you're something of a rebel, and there's just something about stasis that brings out the troll in everyone. But if you're a deep user of this weapon, and I mean real depths of Destiny, then to you, map boundaries are more of a guideline than a restriction. Eyes of Tomorrow. That feeling of being an AC-130 from back in the day in Call of Duty was just enough for you, and now you have infinite ammo. Something like this is more for the spectacle than it is for the damage. Lament. Thanks to this being your favorite exotic, now you get to be everyone's favorite when running Crota. If you were subscribed to me, you would have seen this video I posted showcasing Lament's true power using the Stronghold exotic. You should subscribe. Dead Man's Tale. You're one of two people. Either a guy who has Kovacs on his computer despite the thing being a headshot magnet, or an old-fashioned guy who just loves the feel of it. One thing's for certain though, you both dig the fact that less people are using it now. Tiku's Divination. Having the ability to start a vodka fire from 6 miles away is kind of insane. You typically hang out in high-level content where people aren't sure why you're running Tikus until you get to show them why you're running Tikus. Cryosthesia 77K. You take the phrase "don't play with your food" a little too personally. Every match you seem to go out of your way just to humiliate people while they can't fight back, you sick son of a... Vex Mythoclast. You're a true OG. From trying to push Atheon off with a solar nade in 2014 to taking him on 7 years later, this is your prized possession. You kinda wish Bungie would stop toying with its RPM, but as long as it still sounds like this, you're happy. Agger's Scepter. You're a fast player who laughs at the idea of running a primary weapon. You probably have a wave frame on at all times too. Freeze, shatter, keep moving. Forerunner, or should I just say the Magnum from Halo 1. You got into Destiny because of that game, and Forerunner brings you back to the good old days. Every time Bungie mentions a special ammo change, you start to freak out. Lorentz Driver. What do I say? Arbalest wasn't enough? You needed that new sound engraved in your head? The fact it triggers PTSD for everyone in the lobby and you're the reason. I guess the mental game can be just as important. Gallarhorn. You are 98.7% of every player to touch Destiny in its existence since 2014. With 85 exotics in the game by 2022, we're ready to dive into the Witch Queen. Osteo Striga. You really like this gun. Osteo mains tend to not run anything else, and their kill counter gets up to like 50,000 or more. I mean, hey, if it ain't broke, I guess, eh? Edge of Concurrence. Dedication is your middle name if you've got this thing atop your list. I guess if it works on Guardians and Gambit, then it'll work on Guardians everywhere else too.
It actually worked! Holy...
Edge of Action. When it comes to the left brain, right brain talk, you're heavy on the right. You tend to come up with solutions for problems that people didn't even realize they had. And the question is, if this is truly your favorite, then have you learned about all the synergies on Stasis that nobody's talking about? Edge of Intent is the third exotic with the same naming convention. Moving on. Dead Messenger. You thrive in chaos. When something works well in more than one situation, you're at home. You don't like to overcomplicate things, you just want to get the job done. Collective Obligation. I'm gonna guess you're a Void Hunter, and listen carefully. Take that Gyrfalcons directly to the laundromat immediately. You're starting to smell, man. Forbearance. Wait a second. How did you get in here? Parasite. Nothing better than nuking an entire wave of ads with Parasite. You learned how effective that is on Stasis, and once you found out holster mods work on this thing, you never looked back. Grand Overture. You wanted to be a Colossus, and Bungie let you finally be one. You feel a kind of superiority over the Wardcliff guys. They're just these one-trick ponies, while you at least have some sophistication to your game and some restraint. Trespasser. There's a gang of you out there. You've been telling everyone for years that Shiro 4 is going to be the next Hunter Vanguard, and, well, you're still waiting. Heart Shadow. You've always been a sword guy. You firmly believe in form over function. You're the type to find the craziest drip using the most questionable things. We honestly need more of you in the world, so keep at it. Touch of Malice. You like to live life on the edge. You know there's something special about touch that people just don't get. It makes you something of a contrarian, and that feels pretty good. Keep using it, brother. Delicate Tune. You're a bit of a lore buff, and you just think it's awesome that there's a piece of Nezarec lodged inside your funny little jolt gun. Me too, buddy, I get it. Revision 0. You've always been torn between pulse rifles and scouts, and then this thing came out feeling incredible. The stats are amazing, so you keep using it, but tell me you don't leave people one shot nearly every time. The Manticore. Screw airborne effectiveness, am I right? Come on, Bungie. If someone makes this thing work, I want to meet you. Join my Discord and ping me immediately because I need to get to know you. Hierarchy of Needs. How are those Warmind cells going there, pal? Thanks, Bungie. Wrapping up Witch Queen brings us the final 12 exotics from Lightfall. Quicksilver Storm. You love that you can have one thing that works pretty much everywhere. You probably own a Swiss Army knife in real life, and you may not have loved Lightfall, but this gun made it all worth it. Final Warning. I bet you were pretty geeked out when you saw how much damage this thing did. The synergy you can achieve with this thing is kind of ridiculous, and even if others don't get it, they're wrong, not you. Conditional Finality brings me 2 words: brute force. Why use a scalpel when you can use a hammer? You love that you can slide into bubbles like the Kool-Aid Man, and the fact that you can destroy champions in PvE all with the same gun. Verglass Curve. If you tell me I pronounced that wrong,
I will find you, and I will kill you.
Vex Caliber. The tank fantasy and other MMOs really appeals to you, and you do everything you can to make it happen in Destiny. If I can choose a teammate on my side, it's going to be you. Deterministic Chaos. As I write this script, I think surely no one loves this as their favorite. I want to be wrong, so if it speaks to you, please tell me down below. Winterbite. You, my friend, are definitely subbed to Cheese Forever. If you can do anything that's not the way it was intended, you're gonna do it. Whether it's insta-killing bosses or using a 0 ammo heavy in Crucible, you're gonna find a way. Wicked Implement. You're probably someone who tends to go against the grain. Anti-meta, if you will. You have a skill making the strangest things work, and that's something a lot of us actually get pretty jealous of. The Navigator. You're that guy in the group project that ends up doing all the work. You also might be a bit of a connoisseur when it comes to the out-of-bounds locations in this game. Just don't tell Bungie why you have 2 of them on your character. Centrifuge. If this is your favorite weapon, you probably picked up D2 more recently, and I gotta say, welcome to the Madhouse. People underrate this weapon a lot, so you, my friend, have a bright future. Necrochasm. Odds are you're a sucker for a bit of nostalgia. You had to work so hard for this gun that it kind of deserves to be part of your favorites. You care about the story behind things, and you're proud to wield this one. X-Dirus. Is it too early to say this is your favorite? I don't think so. It's a boomer cannon. We wanted this thing since Destiny 1. A gun that never reloads with a high reload stat. Bravo, Bungie. Tessellation. You are ride or die when it comes to Destiny. You know you're in too deep, but that's also just how you like it. Plus, it's basically a railgun when it's charged up, so how could it not be your favorite? That's 113 exotics across 22 seasons and 1 more video on the timeline to watch. Learn 50 things you didn't know in Destiny 2 by clicking this thumbnail.